Hey everyone, I'm David Room. Tonight we're just going to be doing some chill programming, working on the game project tonight. I've been making some steady progress on my game, but I just haven't had a whole lot that was quite something that I wanted to stream about. I've been kind of making some slow and steady progress on a lot of UI stuff and physics stuff, kind of towards a little bit of a new direction for the project. And I got to a point with some of that where it's sort of ready to refactor, and I'm just hanging out, so I figured I'd stream. I'm gonna just listen to some music. Might not necessarily be talking a lot tonight, just writing some code, and hopefully you'll see some cool visuals as I test some different physics stuff. Um, yeah, so if you are watching, uh, I hope that you're encouraged to work on some creative projects of your own. I know I like to listen to live streams a lot of the time in the evening when I'm working on my projects. And if you are working on something, I'd love to hear about it either in the chat or in the comments, and we can kind of encourage each other together to work on our cool projects. So I'm going to throw on some White Bat audio. We're listening to 4 hour cyberpunk dark synth mix plasma, and this starts off with a really good track. So yeah, let's get started. Let me just check the audio here and then we'll get going. Yeah, okay, here we go. So I've been adding a better, like updating the physics integrator, adding some better physics capabilities, including refactoring how things work, adding impulses for collisions, including angular impulses. Stuff doesn't look exactly right, so maybe we'll be tweaking that a little bit, adding some constants to kind of limit some things. The goal here is eventually I want to get into some actual planetary forces. I want to add recoil forces to weapons. We'll see how far we get with that. I don't know if we're going to touch those things tonight, but we're just going to start by cleaning some stuff up. So here we go. Just going to bring some of these constants out of magic numbers into module level things. This is just stuff relating to collision resolution, which I have not thought about enough yet. So it's just kind of very fudgy and approximate. But I think that's okay for now. I think I probably want these coefficients of restitution to come out of here too, into arguments, but we'll just test and make sure this is working first. Make sure we don't have anything crazy going on here. Oh, something happened. Oh. So some of this collision stuff would be more reliable if I was using like collision solids rather than this like polygon estimate stuff. But part of what I'm trying to do here is sort of to find the simplest thing that works. And, you know, like probably in the real, like in the final game, you know, if you just straight up run into something like a space station, you're probably going to blow up. So this might not necessarily have to be super accurate. Basically, it should just like people should be discouraged from doing it, but what I'm mainly trying to do is to just get some of this stuff cleaned up, so as I try to do some more advanced physics stuff, we're starting from a good spot instead of the rough spot that we were in before. Okay, actually, let's just see. These are wrapped. That's good. Just make sure this still looks good. This is working. These nice functions for moment of inertia stuff now. Let's just put this in a const here as long as we're messing with this stuff. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now. We'll do this stuff though. This is a great white bad audio. Video. I like stuff that's got a little bit of a driving beat to it. Some of his stuff that is like super driving, it just is kind of hard to listen to. This stuff is really nice. Okay. We're going to put this original one down at the bottom. So we're not thinking about it anymore. Oh, nice. Doug Wise is here. Hey, Doug. It's been a while. How's it going with you? Some of this stuff up. Let's see here. I think we're gonna, we're gonna bring these coefficients out here. Nice. So Doug says, yeah, he's doing pretty well, but he's under the weather. These kids are a little sick. Yeah, this year, so part of the reason I haven't been streaming so much is this year has just been bad for people being sick. My wife was sick, and the kids were sick with, well, my wife was sick with some kind of thing for a couple weeks. And then more recently, everybody got some kind of stomach thing. Um, but I think we're actually finally even, uh, finally getting over it. So that, that makes me really happy. And I hope that, um, it stays that way. So, here. Yeah, so taking the project in a different direction. It's not really a different direction. There's multiple aspects to this project, and lately I've been thinking, well, actually a couple months ago I was kind of thinking, okay, what would be a good focus to have? So I've been thinking about space battles, and I've been thinking about just getting the game, like some things that have been really long overdue is like getting the physics working better, getting behavior trees working better, getting various like visualization and UI stuff working better. And one of the goals a long time ago, and it's so funny because it's like you start building this stuff, you get everything like 50% of the way there in the first year. And then the next bit of it just takes a lot more work. But the goal is to be able to use the game sort of as a simulation engine to set up these cool scenarios and then be able to render those in high detail in the with Blender, like high detail rendering. But I never really got the game to the point where that stuff is working. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. Is like I'm trying to get the game to a stage where stuff like the physics, the behavior trees, the enemy AI actually set up some missions that are kind of like what I'm picturing in my head, where something cool is happening and it looks cool, and you can sort of interact with it and play it and have it look good. That's kind of what I'm trying to do now. And another thing is I'd like to get this to be like more real in terms of the physics. So part of what I'm doing is I'm working towards actually having actual orbital physics. So before I was just kind of ignoring that, but really most of the action in this game is going to take place in orbit, like at space stations and stuff. And I've made some changes to how physics work towards the end of being able to actually model planetary gravity and stuff like that. So that's kind of another thing, is being able to toss that in there, being able to see if it works with the behavior trees, the flight control systems, do proper arrival and departure. So like, if you're having some kind of combat encounter at a space station, the ships might be arriving at high speed, departing at high speed, being able to actually model all of that somewhat correctly, to at least to sort of a degree that I'm happy with. That's what I'm trying to go for now. So I haven't done the planet, like the planet gravity stuff yet. But what I did is I refactored the physics so that everything, the ship positions are double precision now. And I've had this thing for a while where I'm doing a floating origin for rendering. But now the coordinates of the ships are double precision double precision, so we should be able to model very large scale stuff a lot better now than we did before. And there's going to be some work on the UI side to handle some aspects of that. Like right now, the floating origin always follows the player. It would be better if it followed the camera or a ship that you're looking at. But I've made some changes that are going to make fixing that stuff a lot easier now. So, and just kind of working towards, okay, let's have, you know, just like I've been kind of setting up on the high detail side, I've been setting up these nice art pieces that I can kind of iterate on here. I'm trying to think towards setting up like actual missions where I'll be able to test behavior trees, be able to test enemy stuff, and kind of iterate on getting them looking cooler and cooler, and shooting more towards the real goals of this project instead of just working on little feature here and there. Kind of hitting some of the hard stuff that I've put off, I think would be maybe another way to describe it. And tonight is kind of maybe not super cool stuff, but just some kind of nice relaxing code cleanup. And oh, another thing that I did that is pretty cool. I don't know if I showed this too much on stream, but everything has I'm modeling heat and power. So the ships have heat and power that sort of governs how actually let me shut some other stuff off before I show that. That govern how their weapons behave, and it's not fully where I want it to be yet, but it's getting those things in place so that we're able to implement those systems and have more interesting variables to play with in combat to kind of balance things and have interesting behavior. You know, instead of ship weapons just firing all the time, like make them have to stop and recharge and stuff like that. So let's see here. Thinking about where I want to put some of these debug flags here. maybe I'll put some of this stuff, this debug stuff in. Let's see here. Maybe I'll just put this in a debug section here. Constants. See, where is that? That better. And this is, yeah, there's a better name for this too. This is like light frustums. Yeah, shadow. Really shadow frustums, I think. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. So I've got a nicer spot to put debug switches. Let's just make sure everything still runs here. And oh yeah, this is, we can give this a better name too. So this is like show collider segments. And also, let's see here, config. We can put this up to bigger screen resolution so you guys can see better. So this is the energy stuff that I was, oh, whew. Debugs. Why didn't that update? Oh, okay. Constant set debug.show. Must have just not gotten it. Okay. So this is the thing I was talking about with showing heat and power. So we've got the different weapons and the shield. I was modeling shield shield power before, shield heat and power, but now we're doing the same thing for weapons. And the reason for that is, like, we want to be able to control and have like weapon recharge. So like you can't just keep firing your beam weapons forever. And yeah, so this looks really cool, and just some examples of some of the cool sort of visualization stuff that I've been doing. Like I have you can drop the camera, so you can kind of, there's different ways to visualize how things are moving. You can pick up the camera again, auto zoom in and out to the ship that you have. You can go into sort of a local coordinate system and global coordinate system, and like a lot of the translation stuff kind of works a lot better than it used to. So yeah, now with the angular impulses, we're seeing some really crazy like spinning and stuff, so I've got to figure out good ways to control that, slash, you know, also some of that might be due to the some of the ships like not having enough mass, but yeah, so let's continue on here. So so I'm just gonna quick commit this change here. And then we can continue on. So one thing that I know we want to do is something that we see now with the in this scenario, and like having these test scenarios really helps with that. We saw the explosion spinning crazy, and basically I think what we want to do is we want to just kill the angular velocity of the entity before we create that explosion. So let's see here. Oh, another cool thing that I did, I think you'll appreciate this, is I added like a time scaling thing, so you can kind of like still run the same exact simulation but speed it up so you can get to things faster. So like, let's just see, if I hit W a few times, we should get to the point pretty quick where we see that really spinny. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so we can get there pretty quick. Let's fix that. So we've got our explode module here. Now this is funny. So let's see here. We've got our chunky explosion here. Now I thought the ring was on that main entity. Okay, so where is that? Ring ent. Yeah, this is crazy. Okay, see, this is strange. Oh, I bet I know what's going on. I'm clearing. Interesting. So I wonder if something is hitting that actually after this, because I am already clearing this. Maybe ignore further hits. Okay, so maybe I've got to disable collisions on it now. So can I tear it? Maybe I tear down the... Maybe I tear down the collision right away. Now we'll see. I might get an error on cleanup. I think it's like right here where that spinning happens. Nope, it's still going. So what gives? I clear out this. I'm clearing the impulses. Oh. This should already be clear. But I suppose this could be it. Let's see if this does it. Here it comes. Yeah, see what gives. That guy should have no... He shouldn't have any... Am I thinking about this right? He shouldn't have any... Oh, APOS. AHPR is actually down here. Shouldn't have any shouldn't have any acceleration. You shouldn't have any... I've tried everything obvious, so if this is still a problem here, we'll go on to something else, but it's just kind of a strange issue. Like, I wouldn't... You can see it in some of the other explosions too. Probably if I, especially if I switch to a global coordinate system, you can kind of see them tip a little bit. Let's see if we still see it here. We're still clearing a couple things that we weren't before. I just don't get what's putting forces on that thing if it's destroyed. I can also try, there's one other thing I can try too, which is, yeah, see, look at that guy's spinning. I think that, yeah, that first one is the easiest one to see. Okay, so, and let's see here, the chunky, let me just check this. So, maybe I'm thinking, so the entity is carrying the ring explosion, right? But turning off that. And if we're doing the chunky explosion, we should be creating new entities for that, so we shouldn't be putting let's just maybe do a sanity check here. And let's just get rid of the velocity too. This should look weird, but we should see it. Things just sort of stop. Okay, I think I need to switch to a external camera here quicker. Okay, so we got a question in the chat from Mono666 asks, what's the difference between a terminal and a code editor? Good question. So a terminal is just a general interface that you can use to run commands. So, you know, like old DOS computers or old Unix workstations, things like that used to use a terminal. Code editors can have specific frames for running and interacting with code. You know, features like autocomplete, search, special tools like that. But you'll often have a terminal inside a code editor. So I'm using a terminal here to run things, to run the code, and then I'm interacting with the code in the editor. Let's see here. Let's switch into global mode and actually. Yeah, you can see you can see things stopping now. So why is it spinning? That's a good question. Yeah, Mono666 says I see things bunch. Yeah, happy to help. Why is it still spinning? I'm wondering if it's still is this not Oh, I bet I know what happened. I bet this happens. Does this... I wonder if this happens. Let me see in the game loop where this happens. Explode. This happens before cleanup. No, that's weird. So this is happening... My impulses. Yeah, collisions and impulses are happening here. And then destroying things is happening here. Is something happening that's bringing torque? Let's try clearing those torques. But see, torque, that's clearing the total torque. So where's that? Linear impulses, angular impulses. Force. Did we, let's see here. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is... See, we should be done here. So if we explode, then there shouldn't be anything left that makes that spinning afterwards. What is going on? True. Status is exploding. This should be... That should definitely be removing it. Okay, let's just try one thing. So if we and then we'd be doing that again on the next round. So let's say we'll only accumulate forces and torques if, and update the physics if it's not exploding. So and that status equals, let's see, see if this fixes it. If this fixes it, then it means that that thing is still somehow getting some torque. Somehow. Yeah, that seemed to fix it. Okay. I wonder if it's that collision cleanup isn't maybe doing what I think it is. Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is broken. Let me just make a note of that so I don't forget it for later. gonna say okay. So that was definitely a thing that I wanted to grab. So let's take a look at this now. It should look a lot better. We'll get into global, and then we'll just kind of manually follow the direction of the camera. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and everything is vertical right now because I removed the... Oh no, it's not vertical. I thought everything was looking vertical, and I thought that was maybe because I removed the rotation, but I didn't actually remove the rotation. Yeah. Okay. This looks a lot better. Okay, what next? I don't really want to work on recoil right now. Maybe we'll just continue on some code cleanup here. Oh yeah, and there was some cleanup I wanted to do in some skybox stuff too. Let's actually just try this mission quick. See if this does anything cool. I think so this is... Having a planet in the background makes things look so much cooler, I have to say. It really gives things more of a sense of place. We'll just let this guy go after. Oh geez, that looks sweet. Yeah. Oh man, that looks this looks really cool with the angular impulses. Jeez. There's a lot more spinning. I definitely need to put some limits on it, but yeah, that sort of frenetic energy that you're talking about, Doug, that's something I'm going for. I mean, it obviously needs to be tuned and balanced, but seeing things kind of like spin and you know, like sort of lose control and regain control. Let me just turn mouse control back on. Sick track going here too. Turn mouse control on and we'll be able to see some of this better too. I can't keep up with the combat, so we'll let the behavior tree do it. Oh, jeez. Ooh, how did you get so far away? That's probably a bug of some kind. I've found there's some instances where things maybe get forces or accelerations that are too high. So we've got to put some limits on things, but one of the things I added too is some logic that controls auto weapons fire, so turrets don't fire if they're not within... Oh yeah. If they're not kind of within... yeah, those fighters don't last very long, do they? They don't fire if they're not gonna hit. So I gave the ship a projectile weapon and a beam weapon. So it's and they're both gimbaled, so it's able to fire both. Ooh, I got hit. Here. So I'm spinning way too fast. And my velocity is like out of control too. See, like there's something that's happening where we're getting these impulses that are way too high sometimes. So there's got to be like some limits, upper bounds that we put on these things so that doesn't happen. I mean, the obvious solution is to just have that be like an instant destruction, but whew. We haven't had a run of this that looked as cool as that first one. I saw a lot of neat things happen that first time. Whoops, that's my friend actually. Oh wait, no. It is, yeah. Actually, here, let's just do this. Let's just add... I think I'm using wings here. No, this is mission mode. This isn't something I can update quick. Let's actually look at a different one. Let's look at... Another thing that I added recently was like a proper affiliation system. So ships like faction affiliations is more complex. Different factions can be allies or enemies or neutral. It doesn't just assume that everything that's not your faction is your enemy. Yeah, see that the ship interaction where there's a spin when they hit and bounce like that is definitely what I want. But then what happens sometimes is it just sort of like accelerates when his guns are hot, so he's got to break from firing here a bit. Oh, he's gonna get destroyed here. Oh. I'm gonna control this manually, see if I can do any better. Probably not. Where's my velocity dropping? There we go. I don't know exactly what the gameplay is going to be like quite yet. I mean, I think it's... Yeah, see, it's like... We shouldn't get to that point where we're just completely out of control. So it's going to be... Like a collision like that should probably just destroy the ship. It's going to be interesting to see kind of like as we tune things what that looks like. Yeah, and see he's... Yeah, So something is going on. Oh, I think I know what's going on. It's like the that spin rate is getting higher and higher, and then it's affecting the the linear impulses. Should probably have a max. Let's try something. Let's try this. Let's have a we'll have a max angular velocity. And the way this is implemented right now is a little goofy. It'll straighten out once I kind of nail down the new physics system, but let's just say, and this is in degrees, so let's say, I think it's in degrees per second, so if this was a full revolution per second, I don't know, it shouldn't go more than what, like 10 or 20 per second. Omega max. And then when we apply the impulses, we could let yeah, forces are never going to take it that high, so I think we only have to apply this when we apply the impulse here. Yeah, so tis dot and let's see here. Let's see, what is it? The F min, yeah. So min of const dot max and f max of I think this is what we want, right? Still get some nice spinning, but I'm not seeing them get knocked so hard. Nope. Still is pretty fast. But see, yeah, I'm not seeing that like crazy distance happening with collisions. That might be enough to bring it back into territory that's like reasonable. No, there he spun off pretty far away. Let's try something just smaller, like I mean, even 2 or 3 is pretty fast. Speed this up a little bit. That's where he starts spinning before. Yeah, see, he gets going fast, but not. Yeah, not fast enough that he can't correct. Something's going on with those linear impulses, though. I mean, he gets knocked really far away. That axial spinning is really cool looking, though. Wow. That one got knocked 30 miles away. I wonder if the mass of the needle, I just have it to be too small. It seems really susceptible to this. I guess I do have the time multiplier turned up a little bit too. One of the interesting side effects is when they get spinning like that, it makes them harder to target, actually, because the firing target like prediction thing is not used to that, so it might need to like average or something. He's still a long ways away. See if we can get this last one. Now see there, he got knocked by my weapons. I bet the mass of that thing is just too light. Because it seems like once they get spinning, like even just firing really adds a lot more. Like hitting them with projectiles adds a lot of spin when it should. I don't know if it really should. Let's take a look at that. Let's see here. 32,000. I mean, it's not crazy. Interesting. Well, I think this is a good. I think this is a good change. Let's see how that looked in the turrets test. Because we were seeing some pretty crazy spinning in this one too before. See. Oh yeah, we can do free look like this too. Let's see here. Yeah, definitely not as much crazy spinning. I still wonder if there's something wrong with my I've got this function for kind of normalizing or bringing the hit location into the bounds of the ship, and I'm kind of wondering if that isn't working correctly, maybe. Oh, let's get rid of that. One thing. See, we're already doing this, which I'm not sure we should be doing. Let's see, are we doing this? Yeah, we're doing this. This we should be. This should be like element wise maximum. Yeah, that should be doing what I want. So, I don't think that's the problem. I think some of this stuff is just like, the speeds are pretty extreme and the accelerations are pretty extreme, so you get some kind of weird behavior sometimes, and I'm not sure there's a way around it other than just kind of limiting things like I'm doing. So I think, let's see here. I think that's good for now. I'm gonna actually just commit this, and then maybe we'll do a little bit more code cleanup. Okay. Yeah. Let's let's just pivot a little bit, and I'm gonna try to I'm gonna review some stuff about some model loading stuff and rework how some assets are getting loaded. This is something. So what's going on here is there's a few different ways you can load 3D models with Panda, and I'm kind of doing this cheat here where I'm using the default model loader, and all the stuff like the ships, I kind of use these functions that wrap things in a certain cache, or wrap things so that they use a specific cache that really should be only built once, like per run of the game. Panda 3D does a lot of things where there's like these weird global defaults, and I don't like that, so I've kind of tried to wrap around some of those things. But like for the, actually maybe mission 4 would be better for this. I'm using that default loader for the planets, and I want to get away from that. So like, let's just see here. So like model cache is 716. If we can fix this, it should show something higher than 716, because we'll be using this model cache here. So okay, so state load, yeah. So basically we want to use, yeah, we want to use this kind of thing here. Using load functions to load the planets too. So planet skybox should take, oh yeah, we can just grab the load functions here. So just do this, functions, and then planet np, this equals state load 3D this is model JSON. Let's see here, planet. Let's see here. Skybox is, what is this? That's an egg file. Oh yeah, so Spaghetti Software says I was able to see the game in the thumbnail. Does it compile? It looks interesting. So, yeah, it's not really compiled. I'm using a Python game engine, so it's like compiled to Python bytecode. I'm just fixing a little something here with um, how I'm loading models for some planets in the skybox, but I can just show you quick what it looks like. Um, so I'm trying to go through lately, clean a bunch of stuff up. So this is, whoops, I just got knocked by my ally here. So this is some space combat here. I've been doing a lot of physics stuff where getting the physics to be a little bit more realistic and dynamic in terms of how things like collisions are handled, and stuff like that. So, oh, nice. Yeah, so I don't know what your space. So Spaghetti Software says he's making a space game right now as well. Yeah, so I don't know what your inspirations are, but for me, I really liked TIE Fighter and Free Space, the original Free Space I played when I was a kid. That were huge inspirations. And then another game that I really liked the aesthetic of is MechWarrior 2. Has these beautiful non-textured sort of gradient graphics. So that's kind of what's inspiring a lot of the design and look of my game. Is this kind of like, and it's using more, my game is using a more advanced rendering technique than MechWarrior 2 had or TIE Fighter had, but it's kind of trying to mimic that low poly sort of striking gradient look. And the other unique thing about my game is that, yeah, it's very clean. The other unique thing about my game, which if you're interested in, you should check out some of the other videos on my channel, is that I'm doing all the modeling with code. So I really like Python code, and I have a large sort of semi-custom library for programmatic 3D modeling that I am using to create the ship models. So it kind of lets me tweak things and alter the designs with some ease. Like, I don't have to rebuild something from scratch if I want to like change the dimensions of a ship or tweak things. And I think the result is pretty striking. And I've done some pretty cool things too. Like I've even done some modeled some people, like humans and different things with code. So always a work in progress, but it's been a fun project. Okay, so load. Let's see. I think I want this because this is the egg. Oh, maybe I want to actually, let's see here. Let me use this. Oh, geez, yeah, I don't want to use this. I want to use the method and load functions. So I want to use, because there should be a method that uses the cache. Um, I think, is it just... Model info. Model. Yeah, I think I want to use this. Oh, Jin the A star says, asks a very good question, which is where are the 5 Claude instances? So we're doing this the old-fashioned way. This is David's fun programming time, where I'm not on the clock, I'm not on the wire, and I like programming. I've programmed for most of my life. So this is no AI coding assistance, except for the occasional maybe Gemini query or whatever Google gives me when I Google something. Those tools are great. I use them all day at work. We're not using them here. And How To Tip says hi. Hello yourself. Okay, so yeah, what we want to use, we don't actually want to use that model load JSON. We want to do this one. Let's see here. I don't know why this isn't showing up right. Okay, it's just model. Okay. And okay, here we go. Here's a good example of what I'm trying to do. Jeez. Okay. Why am I using this? Info full. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. It's raw. I don't think I need that. This might be a fool's errand. Jin the A star says respect to you. Thank you. Actually, oh yeah. See, this is a part. I don't want parts. I just want file names. This might be a big gap in my interface here if it's this hard for me to load just a file name into the cache like this. So I have this system where I can describe hierarchies and models, like for ships and stuff. And 3D models. Info.file name. Yeah, see this is what I want. So it's whatever uses this. Let's let's just see. Let's just see if this works. So should be able to just be really spare with this. Let's see what else is here. Color, material, like we don't want to put any of that stuff on it. Got to be optional. Name. Okay, good. That seemed to work. All right. And let's see, I said that we should see a higher number in the cache, so I'm suspecting it's going to say 717 instead of 716 here. Yep, perfect. Okay, cool. We're not gonna ask any questions. And let's actually do the same thing for this skybox here. The star skybox. So and when we do this, we should see it go up even higher. So Jin the A-Star asked a really good question. What made you choose Python for this project? So I am a software research engineer, I guess I would call myself by trade. I do a lot of work with computer vision, AI, machine learning engineer type stuff. So Python's kind of my bread and butter, and it's a programming language I really like. And it's a language that I feel like I can be very effective in just in terms of like when I want to, if I sit down and I want to work on a project, you know, and it's nice like when I want to debug things or visualize things or write little utilities, it's like Python is kind of my go-to. So I kind of had this aha moment a few years ago when I started the project, because I used to do a lot of like pretty like straightforward kind of amateur game development as a kid, and I kind of set that aside when I became a software engineer because I didn't like, I always thought it would be like too difficult to get into the languages and libraries that I would need to do for like serious 3D game development. And then one day I kind of realized, like, wait a second, I should be able to do this with Python. And there aren't a ton of game engines out there. Oh my God, this is interesting. There aren't a ton of Python game engines out there, but Panda 3D is one of them, and it is it is pretty effective for what I'm trying to do. There's a few bugs and like weird aspects about it, but for the most part, it's let me do what I want to do with this project, so it's kind of fun. Now let's see here. Okay, this actually is what I want. This one is actually just fine because it's using the model cache, so we're good with this one. Let's see if we're using the base loader anywhere else. Yeah, for the default skybox. Do I still have a mission where I'm using the default skybox? Let's see here. And this is an egg file. I think we're just gonna patch something like this in. Actually, we'll just set this aside for now. There should be only a few spots in the project where I'm still using base.loader. I'm loading the font with it. And the smiley model. Skybox. Yeah, all right. So that makes me feel better. At least we got the planet skybox in there. And oh, actually, let's see here. Yeah, there's we'll just leave that aside for now. Okay, I'm gonna commit this. I'm gonna just actually make a couple notes about what I've done so far. So what did we do? We did a little bit of cleanup of the physics stuff. Actually, I'll just write this here so you guys can follow along. We cleaned up physics code, added some constants and stuff. We fixed the spinning explosions. Sort of a temporary fix. And then we fixed the, use the, it's for planet models and planet skybox. So it's called, yeah, planet skybox. Oh, so Jin the A-star says, when do you think MVP will be achieved? That's a really good question. So I've been working on this game since, I think, 2021. So, kind of a while. It's really just a hobby project, though. I think at different times I've tried to estimate when I would be done with it. And I don't have a lot of control in my life. I have young kids. I have a pretty busy job, so I don't have a lot of control in my life of like how much time I can spend on it. So it's really hard to estimate when things would be done. I will say that recently I've made some really nice progress on some kind of complex aspects of the game, and it's definitely in a lot better place than it was a few months ago. I think when I first started, I was imagining something much simpler, and there's a lot of really cool aspects, you know, feature creep, etc. There's a lot of really cool aspects of the game now that I've built little bits of that are really cool, and but it would take a lot of work to complete. So it's really hard to say. I always imagined that, you know, it might be at a stage where other people could play it, you know, in a couple of years, but at the end of the day, it's just a fun project, and I'm not too concerned about a timeline. The other thing too is that this is just part of like a much bigger project that I have, which is a sci-fi setting that I write stories in and I do 3D art in. So, like you saw with the, or like I was sharing with the art, I mean, I do the modeling and stuff myself, and I'm always revising designs and stuff. And then I have sort of another project, which is high detail 3D art. So the game is kind of like a low poly thing, but I have a ongoing project to do like this higher detail, more realistic style 3D art of the stuff in the game, and along with that, I have extended this into other projects like making toys and like 3D printing models and things like that. So there's a lot of different aspects of the project that I kind of cycle between, and I think it'd be really difficult to try to say, okay, here's when this is going to be done. I'm just kind of, right now I'm content to have it be just that fun thing in my life that I work on, and just enjoy. So hope that answers your question. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else that is like little stuff that I can clean up or fix. But I'm thinking that it's getting late and I should probably head for bed. Yeah, so Jin the A-Star says, I understand. I also have this issue of increasing the scope into Oblivion. I'll just show you a little scope, a little example of scope creep here. So I think you saw some of the gameplay. Okay, yeah, actually, this is a good thing to do right now. A good fix that I can make. So, you know, when I started this project, I kind of imagined, okay, the sort of simple low poly space combat game. As things went on, I imagining it more like the games that really inspired it, like TIE Fighter and Free Space and Mech Warrior 2, where you have this kind of rich hub area where you know, exist and interesting things happen between the missions. So so part of that is let's see here. Oh, that's interesting. It's sort of an interesting bug that's preventing me from showing the hangar mission right now. Oh, there we go. There's the problem. I think this should fix it. So I've spent some time kind of building out the capability to do, yeah, all this crap's gotta be son of a gun. Dev. Let's see here. That wasn't it. I've spent a lot of time building out that sort of hub world that not hub world, but like the menu area that things would take place in between missions. And let's see here. Interesting. Player. It's red one. I recently have been refactoring the physics, so there's some bugs in some of the yeah, so Jin the A-Star says this is what happens when I try to show my friends my progress, suddenly everything broke. Yeah, what happened is I changed the physics states to use double precision stuff because I'm gearing up to do like much larger scale stuff, including like planetary forces like gravity and stuff. And all of the scenarios have the ship position set up with single precision vectors. And I'm curious, let's see, something is going on here where one of these entities, and I don't know, let's see which one this is. It is not, yeah, so it's not the origin. So it must be red one, but like where's that getting set? It's getting, something's getting reset at some point with a single precision variable. Dating entity red one. Yeah, so red one is getting reset somewhere. Oh, I bet I'm updating player. Player dot. Set up scene lights model. Scene. Yeah, that is a problem. And red one. Yeah, that is a problem. There it is. Just needed to read the code. Amazing how that works. And I think I know what's going on here. Let's see, red one. Okay, we're just gonna do this in here. Chips. Oh. That was backwards. And there's the problem. Self.pause plus D. So there's some animation stuff here that kind of does some little bit unkosher things. Pause. This should be a vec 3D. Assert self.pause equals instance. Actually, that should be fine because we're getting that from there. And then, yeah. Let's see here. Is.pause. Okay, I think that might be it actually. Yeah, okay, so here we go. So this is like the hanger. And this is like inside a carrier, and there's a lot of there's some different stuff you can do. So like you can like do the ship viewer and stuff here. You can also look at your ship. Oh, this is interesting. You need to reset that to be not global but local. And there's different modes and stuff. So yeah, and then you can actually launch a mission. I wanted to sketch out the kind of mission briefings that you see in Free Space and TIE Fighter, where you have this kind of animation, you know, and be able to like zoom in and out and kind of like do motion graphics to get a nice animation. There's a cargo hold where you can talk to the mysterious entity that is uh, that you're working for. Uh, and I'm just using one. I kind of replaced all of the models with one character here, but um, there's a there. I've done some work to do character models with 3D modeling, so I can actually have different characters and stuff. And the idea is that I've got a bit of a story in my head with characters and kind of a neat, kind of a cult sci-fi horror story. So, but the idea here is, let's see here, like in your quarters. In your quarters. I don't know if you've ever played. I don't know if you've ever played X-Wing Alliance. It's a Star Wars game from the late '90s, but there was a really neat feature in that game where, as you beat certain missions, you would get like souvenirs that would be in your quarters, and I'm imagining sort of a similar system in this game where, because it's got kind of like a sci-fi horror sort of feel. You let's see here. Quarters camera. Let's see here. There's a place where all of these camera locations are. Let's see, where is that? Yeah. Here it is. So I was testing that character, but the idea is like there are some different like artifacts and things that you'd collect, and you know, like as you made your way through the game, you'd run into more of these, and your quarters would kind of get filled up with these interesting artifacts. But they actually, unlike the artifacts in X-Wing Alliance, which are kind of just for decoration, these will actually have some function in the game, and give you some kind of like occult powers. Is the idea. And then another area that I was working on was a simulator room. So this is kind of like where you can set up simple scenarios where you can easily test like different factions and ships, and it's kind of like a quick battle mode. So this is something actually that I probably need to spend a little bit more time with. I don't think it works if I try to launch right now. It'd be funny if it did. Nope, it doesn't. It actually probably wouldn't be too hard to finish that up. It looks like it's just missing affiliations. But yeah, the idea is like you can choose different factions, and like this would be a quick way if you wanted to test different ships and stuff. But the UI needs a little work. Oh yeah, some of this stuff is broken. I haven't looked at this for a while, but you can see there's a lot of content, you know, beyond just like what a very simple kind of low poly flight simulator game would, once you start getting into this. And Jin the A-Star asked, like, really cool old school devices. You made the models yourself? Yeah, and all these models are actually made with Python code. So that's another thing that I'm really proud of, is like they're made with programmatic 3D modeling using this library that I built, and all these places like are pretty real too. Like that's sort of another thing. Like if I'm making an environment or a location, like I want things to make sense, and I want you can't like walk around in here, like that would be another layer of complexity where, you know, you'd have to map out walkable areas and things like that. But you know, all these areas you can kind of look around, and the way they're lit is mostly real. So I had this idea of, you know, the game, like this hub area, or this in between missions areas on an old carrier that's kind of broken down. So you have like these simple lights that are set up, kind of cast interesting shadows and things. Like back in the hangar, there's sort of a I need to actually put a model in here, but there's kind of like maybe some ambient light, but there's sort of this there's this sort of spotlight that moves, so you can see the spotlight now is shining down on over here by the mission area, and it kind of swings back over by the ship when you're looking at your ship. So yeah, I mean, just like, it's kind of important to me to flesh out the world, and it's a lot of fun to make these kind of simple models and make something that feels real in a certain way. And so yeah, it's like the scope has crept, but it's a lot of fun to work on, and it's kind of something where, you know, I can sit down when I want to do a stream, or just, you know, work on it by myself, and usually I can add something nice in an hour or so. And it's fun that you asked about this, because I didn't know quite how badly the hangar scenario was broken, and I think that's fixed now. We fixed a couple other things in the process, so it's good to have that working, because it's a nice thing to show off. Jin the A-Star says, I can tell you have a lot of passion for this project. I think it's really cool. Thank you so much. I'm curious, do you have a game project or something that you're working on? Usually people who stop by are programming or doing something interesting with software. I'm kind of curious if you have a project. Sometimes people are studying programming in school, and we chat about that kind of thing. There's a guy who often stops by. I'm kind of surprised he's not on tonight, because he's from Korea, so late night is a good time for him. But he is building a space game too, so and he's doing something similar with like trying to have it be like really physics based. So So Jin the Aster says, yeah, but it's only logic now. I'm a mere front end dev by trade. Oh, nice. I know like next to nothing about front end. It's like one thing that I haven't done. I've done a little bit with databases, did some big data, kind of more almost full stack stuff a long time ago. Mostly now I'm doing machine learning, computer vision, that kind of stuff. 3D geometry type things. So front end, like JavaScript, it's like I just try to avoid that as much as possible. But all right, well, I think it's pretty late in my neck of the woods, so we did some nice things tonight. Just some general physics code cleanup, some fixes for a couple mainly visual issues that have come up since I've been working with the updated physics stuff, and thanks to some questions we fixed the hangar scenario, so that's good. Yeah, Jin the A-Star says, hope to catch you on another time. God bless you and your family. Oh, thank you so much. God bless you too. And I've been not streaming a lot lately, but I'm hoping to get back into it. In the past, I've done it, once, maybe twice a week, usually late in the evening like this time. So definitely if you watch, you'll probably see me again. Yeah, thanks everybody who hung out. It was a good time. It's always fun to work on a project and chat with people. Hope everybody has a good night, and see you later.